Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
New stuff,
All the tangents.
some politics, booze,
Some more politics.
stuff about Kansas, and lots of cheersings.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Hello.
We were friends before this episode started. I think we'll be friends during, and probably friends after.
Friends after.
So, it is that time of every 4 years. The presidential election, and therefore the implementing of the Electoral College.
Woo!
A lot of people have opinions about the Electoral College.
I haven't heard
these
anything
days.
about it.
Never?
No,
Ever?
I haven't heard
Okay.
anything about it. Their opinions.
Yeah.
No one. People are basically sleeping through this election.
Is that
No
what's
one's really
good?
paying attention. It's not making international news every hour on the hour.
Everyone's just snoozing right through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just snooze fest.
Mhm.
Snooze fest.
Yep. Well, that was a fun bit of sarcasm.
So strong feelings either way
Yeah.
on the Electoral College.
So, I guess we will, let's talk about the Electoral College.
Yes.
So we found a very helpful website that gave a pretty good overview of the arguments for and against for our listening and viewing audience.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get up to the top here. So this is Tegan Goddard's Electoral...
ElectoralVoteMap.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have /5-reasons-2. You know what, Sven, do the thing for both of them. Well done, Sven.
You're the best.
So we're going to just go through the arguments for and against as presented by Tegan Goddard.
Yeah. Sort of give our
Yep.
take on it as we go through.
So let's go ahead and start off with against, which I believe you will be
against. Okay.
you will be taking as the, I think generally conservatives are of the let's keep this thing,
keep the
and
thing,
the
yeah.
liberals are the this is stupid.
Yeah. So the number one argument for doing away with the Electoral College, according to electoralvotemap.com, was the national vote for president will more accurately or more directly match state and local elections. So state and local elections are, 50 plus 1, popular vote, full stop. The presidential one is the only one that doesn't have that. This would put it more in line with every other.
Yeah. So again, keeping with our format, just to make sure I understand your argument, the first reason presented is that the Electoral College is the only election we have in America where it's not a direct vote, like up or down popular vote.
Popular vote,
and so that because it is the only one that does it, we should move it to match the rest of our elections.
That would be one, yeah.
At least
Consistency.
that is the argument put forward.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You feel like I have adequately explained that?
As you do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So my counterpoint to this is the president is the only national election, or the president and vice president. So every other election that we have is only really affects a state or local position. Right? Mm-hmm. So even if you're voting for a senator, you're only voting for that state senator. It is a state issue. Mm-hmm. Whereas the national election the U.S. president election is our only national election. Supreme Court judges are appointed. Everyone else is elected by their state. The president is the only position that is a national position and wields the most day-to-day power. So there is like a lot of national interest in deciding who gets that, right? So whereas it is different from every election, it is also different in kind from every election.
So to restate, the presidential election is different, therefore the electoral process for the president should be different.
More of the argument for a direct down the line vote I don't think is necessarily a strong one.
Oh, okay. So
because it is if I understand the argument correctly, it is we should get rid of the Electoral College because it should be an up and down. Everyone should get to vote on it because it's a national issue. Like everyone equally gets to vote on the president nationally because it's a national issue. Is, I believe, the argument coming from the abolish side.
What they said was match directly.
Yeah, the state.
Yeah, the consistency.
My counterpoint is this is the only election that everyone has a say in, and so I don't necessarily buy the argument that it has to be the same as every other thing, because it's arguably the most important election.
Got it. So, to restate, you are saying that you don't think that because the presidential election is different than the other elections, the electoral process for the president should be different.
Yes.
Got it.
I would maybe change it to ought to be different.
Ought to be different.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's quibbling over technicalities.
No. That's right.
Okay. So technically, if we're doing the format, we would then go on to where we agree and disagree. But I think that maybe that best be saved until the end.
Yeah, we can knock through the 5 and then yeah. Do you want to?
I can go. Yeah. So the Electoral College isn't democratic. To which I say yes, and that's the point. We're not a democracy. We are
you're going to state the abolish ones. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I thought the first hour we'd do abolish, and then we switch over.
Sure.
So anyway, the Electoral College isn't democratic. To which I say yes.
Yeah.
So what? I guess.
And maybe so. Like, what would be the strength of it not being democratic? Like what?
Because we as a people were never really a democracy. We've never been or at least a pure democracy. We've always been a representative democracy. Like every state isn't a democracy. California probably comes closest to it in that we have all these stupid propositions we're constantly voting on because the state legislature doesn't want to, take responsibility for things. And that's how the people of California set it up. But there is no actual pure democracy in the United States. We never have had one. We probably never will. We're a representative democracy. So voting like a democracy is I would say not necessarily beneficial, nor is it necessary to our system of government.
Is it beneficial?
I would argue against, but that will probably come in better to play when we're talking about the 4 arguments.
Okay. Well, if I could just because he makes there's a couple of the things that they talk about in the electoralvotemap.com. He actually cites some folks, some studies that suggest certain things. The Brennan Center for Justice notes that the Electoral College has not reflected the popular vote on 5 occasions in the March 2019 article. The center's Alex Cohen argued that any votes over 50% plus 1 vote threshold in a state have no impact on the election. Cohen suggested the electoral votes exacerbate the population imbalance between small states and large states created since the 18th century.
Are you telling me what I said, or are we moving on to what you were?
Well, so this is the second. This is the what they say for undemocratic. So there was just some supporting stuff there that I wanted to do it. It's a Stanford University professor, Jack Rakov, suggested. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing that. I'm terrible at pronouncing. In 2016, the Electoral College weighs votes differently based on state, and Rakov said that the disproportionate influence of the small states distort election results. He believed that a national popular vote would have a unifying effect each election because individual voices, not state voting blocks, would be heard. There's also a national popular thing, but I don't want to go into total detail. If I can just summarize it.
I believe it basically says that presidential election campaigns focus on
the
swing states and ignore the other 38 states.
Yeah.
Which I mean, basically, it's argument.
Just like a little anecdote of that. I haven't seen a Biden ad.
I actually feel like I've seen quite a few.
I haven't seen a single Biden ad on television. Zero. Absolute zero on television. And like that made me feel like I am not. Because I'm also reading about like the record spending in this election from both sides, but I guess Biden's a little ahead in spending as of today's date, the October 19th. So I was kind of like, what the hell? Why are we getting left out in the cold, not getting any of the
That's right. When
TV adverts?
When California flips Republican this election. Then we'll get all sorts of advertising.
If we, man, could you imagine?
Yeah.
If we
flip
how much attention we would get if
angst.
we were like, oh, I don't know, will we or won't we? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh dear Lord.
I would love to be in a swing state. I've never lived in a swing state. Have you ever lived in a swing state?
If I did. I don't remember if Arkansas was a swing state in the elections I was there, but it didn't matter because I was in college, so I voted in Kansas.
Oh, you still voted back home?
I still voted back home because I felt that. I had friends who would vote like in Arkansas, and I'm like, you don't live here. You just go to school here. Like you're just doing this because you want to feel important.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, that was
my point,
number 2.
Yeah, my point is that we aren't a direct democracy, and I don't think we ought to be.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a way to surmise that on coming back from your side, but well, I'll move on to point. Well, no, because you still have to make your point, and then I have to reiterate it to you.
Oh, I just stated the first one, so.
No, because you gave an argument for why it was, which I believe I then talked back to you to make sure I understood it.
Yeah, I said it. Well, because you stated it this time.
Yeah, and then I made the argument against it.
Right.
You haven't surmised the argument.
Argument back. That it's So your argument is that we're not a direct democracy, and that we don't need to be.
Need or ought to be.
Need or ought. Ought. I'm gonna make a note on ought. That's twice I've been
That is twice. Yes.
And then I don't know if this is my.
I think I will. Since you brought up the national popular vote where it says the swing states, and this was a point when we watched the PragerU video. We also watched somebody's opinion piece from the New York Times.
How Trump could win again even if he loses,
by Jesse Wegman.
And at the New York Times is a little video that he did.
And then we watched Why the Electoral College is Essential with Tara Ross for Prager University. And so one of the things Tara Ross mentioned that I thought was fairly strong was that swing states are constantly changing. So it's not that there's just a locked set of swing states. Swing states change. What states are swing states change based off of population movement and culture within those states. Like I'm pretty sure New Hampshire was Republican. Like if you watch there's a Christmas movie about they're trying to do a show for their old colonel or something. I forget the movie, but they make the joke that it's like finding a Democrat in New Hampshire. And it's
got it.
A reliably blue state since I've been alive.
I would say that whether we're a pure democracy or direct democracy, most of our elections are direct democracies. I think consistency is a stronger argument.
Most of our elections, I think, is the key there, are direct democracies. So
most of our elections.
If we were a democracy, so what we're a democracy on is our representation. We're not a democracy because not everyone is voting on all things. We are choosing who is going to go vote for us.
Representative democracy.
In those things. Yeah. So like to say it's undemocratic is a non sequitur.
It's a bit semantic. I think we call America as a democracy.
We call ourselves a democracy. Yeah, yes, but we're a representational democracy.
Yeah, and that is true. I feel like that's pretty well understood.
But I'm just saying it's like because it's electoral isn't democratic. It is democratic. We are voting like we vote on everything else.
With a couple different.
Yeah.
So I think what it's saying is with each one of those little turns in the system, that less directness makes it less democratic. But some people can be more comfortable with that amount of less democratic or more, want more democratic. I mean, we're talking again the 2 millimeter shifts here. These aren't. We're gonna go to fisticuffs over the. You know what I mean? These are small. These are small little shifts.
So, anywho, do you want to make the positive argument for this? For why the Electoral College isn't democratic?
So what they were saying in the points that I read from it earlier is that it is the swings. It gives more representation to the swing states, less of the I haven't seen a Biden friggin' campaign ad on TV.
Okay,
so that. It's clear they're clearly focusing on.
It's a direct 1-to-1 correlation instead of being a representation for an electing people to elect someone.
Yeah,
is the argument.
And there's also the winner take all side of it too, which really vastly a lot of. For example, the state with the most Republicans in it is California. Yeah, and all of those votes are typically not counted. And so that right there to me, and that actually is a really nice segue to the point number 3 to get rid of the Electoral College, which is it reduces the. Oh, well, sorry, this is point number 5. Either way, I'm going to jump to point number 5 really quick. It reduces the value of votes. Oh, no, yeah, they put boost, but then they start talking about it.
Boost, yeah, it is point number 3, and I think what he's trying to say is that it allows deep red states and deep blue states people's votes to actually count to a certain extent.
Right.
I believe his argument isn't actually for not for red people in a blue state, but for blue people in a blue state. Because if it's already California, it's pretty sure it's going to go blue. There's not as much point for you to go vote, right? Because in all likelihood, whether you go out and vote or not, California is going to go blue.
Right.
So if it was a direct election, then your one vote actually goes towards the national tally.
Right.
And so it's still, for a better lack of term or better way of saying it, counts.
Right, that 1-for-1 sort of vibe. Yeah.
I think that's their argument there.
Yeah, I think you're right. He just so in the title it said boost the voices, and then in the very first line it talks about the Electoral College reducing the value.
Yeah.
So I was like,
it's not the most well written thing, but I think I feel like it's he does good summations of things.
Yeah.
So I guess the problem I kind of have with, and to a certain extent I agree with this idea that it does, particularly for minority voice, so Republican red voters in California. It was okay, then it actually matters. But I would argue that at the same time, you can still, red or blue voters can still vote in their states. It doesn't matter towards the national tally, but you still have to convince your state. I don't know what the state equivalent of countrymen would be, is to make a change.
State buddy.
Yeah, you still have to make an argument to your state buddy. So your election may not count in a solidly blue or red state, but you still have the capability of changing whether your state is solidly red or blue.
So, because you made an argument for the national, the president is the only one with a national contingent constituency, and in this one it's more about the state buddies. Where's the line?
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is I think it's a form versus argument issue. Oh, okay. So the form, I'm fine with the form of the Electoral College, partially because I have the ability in a smaller venue to change people's minds and have an outcome, an effect on the outcome, right? So if I got enough, let's say in 10 years, everyone is incredibly sick and tired of Democrats running the show and California goes red, right? Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden it's that is a much bigger punch than if it was just, okay, well, more people happen to vote red in California.
So you like the winner take allness of the state electoral?
I'm okay with the winner take allness of the Electoral College. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a state issue because not all states do it this way.
Yeah, and
which I think there's an argument
point coming up later.
Yeah, I think there is a good argument for maybe that is a thing, but that's again a state issue, which is, and we'll come back to it enough for is American. I think American federalism is actually rather important because I think the biggest government should be your city government, your municipal government, or at least the government that affects your life the most should be the municipality, and then each next step up should have a lighter and lighter touch on you.
Interesting. Can I ask why? Can I ask why you think
because
that?
you have more. And
I'm asking this just so to be clear. There's some super duper old political science texts that talk about really small, Utopia. The original, this guy's talking you could walk it in a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I always was kind of attracted to that idea. So I'm interested to hear. So sorry.
It's because you as a person can better understand what's going on in your local area better than somebody who's like I can understand what's going on in Culver City better than you can even being in downtown Los Angeles.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Because I'm there. But at the same time, we both have a better idea of what's going on in LA than somebody in San Diego or San Francisco. So in that same respect,
or Riverside,
take your pick of California places. Whereas some schmuck in Kansas doesn't know what's going on in California at the end of the day. We have different problems. Kansas could probably tell California a few things and vice versa. But at the end of the day, Kansas shouldn't be able to tell California what to do, and California shouldn't be able to tell Kansas what to do because they're different. It's different cultures. It's different people groups. It's it's what we want. As long as anyone can leave and go somewhere else if they want to, then I think that is the better, more healthy way of governing. You still need all of those different You still need all of those different levels in order to have a fully functioning society. Yeah. I just think that it should be the hand of government you should feel the most is the city.
Totally. The only thing that really bums me out about that is basically money, funding. Buttermilk, Indiana, or a small town USA, just is not going to have the tax. It's not going to bring in the tax base as another.
Well, but they can. But the tax base that they have, they can control better. They can use more efficiently than DC telling them what to do with it.
Right, but you just have less in your hand. Do you know what I mean? There's simply some things that require scale, roads.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm not. I think we're maybe talking about different functions of government. Is maybe that are served at a different time.
Okay.
We came off that tangent, Sven. It doesn't count.
That's the real stuff.
It is.
Okay. Point number 4 for getting rid of the Electoral College, according to the electoralvotemap.com, electoralvotemap.com, it encourages voter turnout, which I think is very, very true and a very, very good. Very, very good.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't think I necessarily disagree with the statement, or even the things that they cites. Summations. I don't necessarily see it. I don't disagree that it could have cause higher turnout because people are more invested. I don't know. We're also lazy Americans, so it's at the end of the day, it's a hypothetical. So maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're wrong. I just don't know that's necessarily right. I think the National Election Day as a holiday would probably be better.
Weekend?
I'm fine with fine with it. I'm fine with the 3-day weekend.
I love that.
Everybody's getting off mad about Columbus Day, so let's just switch that to election
That's
day.
Great. That's great. I'm in on all that.
We have I don't know what we'll do on those rando years that we don't have an election going on, but
in Chicago we had Casimir Pulaski Day.
Interesting. Who's Casimir Pulaski?
Casimir Pulaski was a Polish general who came over and helped Washington during
Okay,
the
so like whatever
Revolutionary
that
War.
French guy was from Hamilton.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Exactly. But we got the day off of school.
Well done.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
For the I guess the Polish community voted
Yeah.
that in. It's great. It's great.
Tangent on a tangent. That French guy was one of the few nobles to survive the French Revolution.
Do you remember his name?
It's like, I want to say Lafayette.
Lafayette.
I think it's Lafayette. Sven?
I'm not going to argue with that.
All right, 2 tangents back.
2 tangents back. Final one, and then we got 4 minutes to
reflect public support for popular vote.
Yeah, basically,
When you poll people,
when you poll people, they prefer the electoral popular vote to the electoral.
Was this? Oh, is that what that was saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because I guess I didn't get that from that.
It was a Gallup poll.
Public polling showing their view align with those of most Americans. Popular vote supporters often point to public polling showing that their views align with those of most Americans. You got it.
I'm good. I'm
so
sorry. Go ahead.
The opposition 53.
But
I mean, he just quotes 2 different polls that say the opposite thing.
Additional polling.
Receives the majority of polls stated. Additional polling covers horoscope, the electoral vote.
So it's one of those things
I guess
like it's better than the current system.
Yeah, but I think that's... So I think the better argument here is that a public vote would lend more credibility to the president for what they... for like their presidential mandate.
The mandate.
That's what I thought they were arguing, which I think is a little bit stronger of an argument than people seem to want to change it. Because people can want what they want. That doesn't mean they're necessarily right. To quote Men in Black, people are large, dumb, panicky animals. A person's smart, but people.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm going to make the other argument that the popular vote gives a better mandate, but I think that I personally feel that that is better to have someone win the Electoral College and not have win the popular vote, because then they know that not their mandate is not necessarily secure. Like they can't in good faith go good in good electorally conscionable.
And is that because I think that's true. I think they would feel that, but if you disenfranchise voters, you know what I mean? Like so that's the benefit. Totally a clear benefit. Hey man, keep it in line. Which Trump has done a great job of. He's walked the line. You know what I mean? Everybody would say he's been very very straight arrow the whole time.
In Frank Green's History of the World, there's a constant running joke that goes something along the lines, except for the Mongols, because they're the exception.
Oh, of course.
I feel like in politics, in political conversations, there's Trump, because he's the exception.
Yes. I will keep to myself what they said before that. At least when I was in school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that there is value to that, to keeping them in line, the leaders that we vote in line. I just think it disenfranchises a lot of voters, and that, to me, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on that, for obvious reasons. So, but those are the 5. Those are the 5 for...
And I feel like we heard each other. I feel like I was pretty heard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You feel like you were heard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I could have heard a little more. I didn't hear any Kansas.
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, man. No, you did hear Kansas. Kansas is Don't worry. I'll always sneak it in there.
You did.
They'll always come up. How are we doing time wise?
We're rocking, man.
Yeah. Really it's almost like we prepped or something. I don't know where. Is it 50 seconds to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Then we will. We probably just cut it here and then come back to the 4.
We'll cut this and we'll do it right back.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Doo, doo.
All right, we are back.
Well, hello.
So, fortunately, Mr. or Mrs. I don't know what one's Tegan Goddards. I feel like that could be either.
Yeah, that totally could be.
So insert proper salutatory.
They?
Yeah. Tegan Gutter's electoral voter map. 5 reasons to keep the Electoral College, which good on them for like doing both sides of an argument.
And honestly, they did a pretty solid job.
It was pretty
bite size.
Yeah.
And
And it felt like both sides were pretty accurately represented.
And
so,
the stronger the arguments, less. Anyway.
Yeah. Anywho, so I guess we'll just get right on to it.
Yes.
So the first one mentioned is maintain American federalism. And I think we touched on this a little bit, whereas where the point, I feel the point being made is that the more local the government, the stronger it should be.
Right.
We could probably get into a discussion. We won't because that would be a tangent that Sven hates so very, very much. That we've lost a lot of American federalism, and the states and counties have given up a lot of power to the federal government, which I think is a problem. But that's not necessarily what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So
to restate, I think your argument is that the more local the government, the stronger it should be, the more touch it has on the people, and I don't disagree with it. Conceptually, even practically, the issue that I have with it, and this is really more an issue with 2020 Americans, they look to the federal government.
Yeah.
So much is nationalized in their thinking, and that's the national body. And it's so they don't get mad at, L.A. Mayor Eric Garcetti the way they get at Trump. Do you know what I mean? Like not even the same stratosphere.
Yeah.
So and they do get mad at both, but it's so
honestly,
that's the one
the current reality is you should get more mad at Trump than you can at Garcetti, because at the end of the day, Trump will probably have more power over your life than Garcetti can.
Yeah.
Well, to a certain extent. Part of that is because if we really wanted to, we could move out of LA. We could go to middle of Montana. I forget. There's some governor that the right really likes at the moment because she basically just didn't shut anything down, and she's been a firecracker about things. I think it's South Dakota's governor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can just move to South Dakota where no one will give two dangs. Or you can go to Modoc County, where I'm pretty sure they still haven't masked up.
Modoc
County. It's the county just above, or just below Oregon and right next to Nevada.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the last county.
Got
it. My then girlfriend / now lovely wife Laura and I went up there because we wanted to have a maskless date in a restaurant. Was it a 10-hour drive for basically 2 meals and a random hotel stay? Yes, it was. Well, was it worth it?
Yes, it was. Well, one of the all-time greats there, man. So I think it's worth it. But so I guess
anyway, American federalism.
But American federalism, it seems like in the zeitgeist, national zeitgeist, if there was one, they are leaning further away from federalism all the time.
And I think that a return to federalism would be more healthy, which I believe is also particularly because it says maintain American federalism, I believe that is the argument.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And the Electoral College, again, is a step towards federalism, because then it's more about the states deciding who the president will be then.
The representation is at the state level.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha.
Which is, we can probably get into how I think it was a bad idea to switch the senators to a popular vote.
Oh.
But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, that is a different conversation.
Alrighty. Second, tradition of slow but steady institutions. I think this is probably one of the more weak arguments.
This was my number one weakest argument out of the 10 on either side.
Yeah. So I think what they were really trying to say is that, well, I think it's just the argument is this is how we've always done it, so we should continue to do it this way.
I would say it's maybe slightly stronger than that.
Okay.
And maybe slightly better than that. Maybe. There is value to the steady hand. You know what I mean? Like the center, the leader, you kind of want to be the last guy to move. Yeah. Or last person to move, right? And so I do think there is some value to that. it's not taking the cake.
So I think the stronger version of this argument that I think it sort of hints at is more of that the Electoral College, it isn't like a quick, fast procedure. So there's not like that morning after regret per se, right?
Morning after regret?
Yeah. So if you look at Brexit, that was a straight up and down vote, right?
Sure.
And they spent 10 years being like, are you guys sure?
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that there is something to be said because the Electoral College is now these electors are going to meet, and they're gonna vote on the thing. So even though it's never happened there, and it's like very hard legally to not happen, like it's one of those like, if we realize between November and December, oh shoot, we just elected Hitler, we still have another, like, okay, this what we still have another chance to correct it if we really have to.
Even though it's
never happened, it's unlikely to ever happen, right. But there is a stopgap in place, and I think that is the better argument of this in this vein.
Sure.
I don't know that it's, again, not the strongest argument, but I think it is a argument that at least is. You put the asparagus or the broccoli on the table or on the plate because it's good for you, but you don't put that much argument.
I won't show you my plates.
Yeah, well, I know
you've seen how I eat.
Well, you also you can just look between the two of us. I think that'll tell you everything you need to know.
Number 3.
Yep.
Number three.
Encourage national campaigns.
This is a fairly strong. Yeah.
So, go ahead and say your.
Well, encouraging national campaigns, I think it's a fairly strong argument. It was much further up on the. So I ranked the 5 for and the 5 against 1 through 10.
Oh, interesting.
And this was pretty high up for me.
Yeah.
So.
And this is actually something that the PragerU video really talked about. Is like you can't win. If we go to a straight majority, at the end of the day, you're just going to the top 15 cities. Because if you can win those cities, you'll effectively have won the thing. So then rural America gets cut out. The population states. Like I know they made arguments that more people's voice will get heard, but at the end of the day, like I find the argument that the Electoral College is better for more rural and less populated states than the direct vote is.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there because it's not just with the Electoral College. We're not just toggling back and forth along one spectrum. We're toggling different toggles at different levels, and I think it would be just as beneficial to shift the Electoral College to not the winner take all.
Yeah, I can see that. You know what I mean?
It's a different toggle at a different level.
I think that's maybe. I don't think that's what the national conversation is at the moment, though. I think that's a better conversation than should we just get rid of the thing? Because a
lot of the better conversations to be had than the one that is.
Yeah, because I would say if you went by congressional districts, so then it's still spread out. You still have the electorals, but it's a more spread out thing. So that way, so if we'll go for a Kansas example, right? So almost every election
feels home like I'm home. Yeah.
So almost every election, the entire county or the entire state is red, with a tiny little blue dot in the middle of downtown Wichita and a tiny blue dot in Douglas County, which is where the University of Kansas is.
Oh, got it.
And it's just a red sea.
Yep.
So I think that there would be an argument to switching to, all right, every elector is getting voted on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so Douglas County and that Wichita, they'll get, I think the great state of Kansas, I think has it's either 3 or 5 things. So they'll get one between the two of them. They'll get one somehow. And the other 4 will go red. But at the same time, it's okay, well, the minority position in Kansas is now represented.
And I like that. I like that.
But in California, it's middle California and north, not San Francisco, California, and San Diego will still get their red senators. Right? Orange County,
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
So I think that would be I think that would be a more equitable way, but it's not necessarily the. I think it's still in the vein of this.
And this is the thing that you can encourage national elections while still
because
you're taking that winner take all element out of it.
You're going to counties, not states. It's like, okay, this is
districts or however they decide.
Probably districts. Counties would probably be a little too.
That's rural. That's rural talk for sure. That's middle central Illinois is how I think of it.
Yeah. Well, that would probably give some rural sections too much power, because then
the county,
because you're getting one. So LA County gets one.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
And then Lyon County population, 100K being generous. Yeah. It's getting one, so it's that's
So maybe it's more of a district.
So I think districting would be fair. Clear and decisive outcomes. So I think this is also one of the more stronger arguments, because it is and this is something that PragerU I think talks about, if it is a just nationwide vote, you can steal votes wherever you want. So then it becomes I would argue there would be an incentive for both the Republican and Democratic Party to just buy votes, steal votes, change votes in their big power centers, and then it becomes a game of who does that better.
Sure. Trying to think of a good analogy, because I this is a clear and decisive outcome. Absolutely, there's some just basic things that are. Simplicity is usually something you like. Consistency is usually the universal you. Yeah. Consistency, clear, all those sorts of things just tend to be like, okay, I want to lean towards that as much as possible. Yeah. But you can't oversimplify, or you can oversimplify, so you have to be careful. Yeah. With the vote, there's very little voter fraud. And the United States is one of probably the absolute best, again, in the history of the world at it. I've seen estimations of 4 votes in several billion votes cast. 1, 2, 3, 4 votes of fraud in several billion of votes cast.
I don't have numbers in front of me, so I can't agree or disagree on that.
I have seen that from reputable places, which, based on those numbers, they were saying it's about the equivalent of getting hit by lightning. So these are tough things to mitigate out when you're at that low of a level. Yeah. I mean, if it was something.
Could I make a counter argument?
Sure.
So I think that is probably true right now, but it's because the incentive is not there to make it as much.
So this wasn't just presidential elections. This was elections that are popular elections.
I don't know the validity of that.
Okay.
So because I like at least the counter narrative in conservative circles is that voter fraud is rampant, particularly in urban areas.
Evidence.
Yeah, well, like I said, this is maybe it's a different conversation.
Yeah, we're broad stroking the Electoral College, but I would be more. This would have been higher up on my list of importance things if that was something that was more. If we had seen more of that, or had seen more evidence of that.
Final one: pitfalls of the popular vote. I think this is kind of.
The constitutional republic instead of democracy,
which I think we've
times.
kind of mentioned.
And this was my strongest
and
one.
And see again, it's electoral firewall against fraud, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
So.
And I would say not necessarily the fraud part, but there are pitfalls. So I think we've mentioned previously on a previous friendly argument that it's mathematically proven there's no way to have just a perfectly fair electoral process. Yeah. So we already know we're dealing with some issues. Yes, there are pitfalls with the popular vote, and I do think those are legitimate. There are some legitimate things. I do see why our founders tried to do that, but I mean they weren't 1,000,000% happy with it.
No, I don't think any founder was happy with everything.
Exactly.
That's part of the beauty of our founding was that it was.
How ugly it was?
Yeah, exactly. It was no one was happy when they walked away.
Yeah. But I do see validity in this one. But
cool.
There are pitfalls.
So I guess I should probably take a minute so that we can find what we disagree about. Still, I think we kind of have already talked about what we've disagreed about.
Yeah.
Fairly in a manner that I feel like all things have been addressed. Mm-hmm. So we probably want to figure out like where we come to consensus. So why don't we go ahead and take a quick break, and I will do the order of arguments that you did, and then we'll come back.
We'll be right back. Yeah. You heard him.
Anywho, all right, so we are back. Do you want to read off your number 1 first?
Yeah, so we are recapping. Let's go 10 and land on 1.
Okay, feel like let's move, yeah.
Yeah,
because then we can get
that little stuff out of the way.
Yeah, okay.
So again, this is our Electoral College episode. I'm really happy with it thus far. And we're going off of the electoralvotemap.com. They did 5 arguments for and 5 arguments against.
I would like to point out that in the URL for reasons to keep the Electoral College, reasons is misspelled.
Yeah, do a Google search on it and you'll get there more than if you type in the actual URL. Mm-hmm. So we are going to go from 10 to 1. What we think is the least,
like the weakest argument to strongest argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 10 for you.
It was Electoral College isn't democratic.
Undemocratic. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was like the dumbest argument. I don't know if it was clear when we were talking.
No, it wasn't.
In case it wasn't, I thought that was the dumbest argument.
That was stupid. This was. I was down between 2, but traditional slow institutions.
Yeah, I could see that.
That was.
The only reason this one went higher for me was because I redefined it.
To really?
myself, yeah, but I don't think it went. Yeah, I think that's number 8 for me.
Yeah, I do see the value in, like we talked about with the leadership, but I would like to, it would be nice to see a more nimble. Mm-hmm. If we could get there.
Yeah.
But maybe we got to be smaller.
Yeah.
Maybe the weight has got to be at the smaller levels to get that nimbleness. But either way, that was my number 10.
Number 9, I went with match direct elections to state and local level. And again, I think I feel like I made this point. My thoughts on that very clear.
If we could see like the pie of your words, I think that would be pretty.
Yeah,
I think that'd be pretty accurate.
I was very annoid by both of those right off the
bat. Yeah. I mean, you're Andrew annoyed, which is always like very nice and smiley, but maintain federalism for me. And this wasn't really my personal feeling. More so as it's so clear that is not how Americans are thinking about things.
It's not the current. It's not the current thing.
Yeah.
I can understand why you would prioritize that. What'd you put for 8?
8, I went to the abolish side, the get rid of the Electoral College side, reduce value or boost the value of the votes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that I do see value. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I want to change that one. But
yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I don't think our listening audience can forgive you.
Yeah.
Twitter won't, but our listening audience will. I went, as previously stated, with F2 traditions and slow and steady institutions. It was the weakest argument, and even kind of going a different way on it. I don't think it was
terribly strong.
It wasn't terribly strong. All right, so 7.
Number 7, I had the clear outcome.
Okay.
Clear outcomes.
Yep.
There's value. There's value to a clear outcome. I do like it. It's just the disenfranchising. The juice doesn't feel worth the squeeze.
Gotcha. I went with the reflect the public support for popular vote.
Yeah.
Didn't care enough.
Forget that majority rule crap. Who wants to go with what?
We're not a democratic society. We're a democratic republic.
You tell them. You tell them. 6.
I will. 6. I went with encourage higher turnout. It's one of those ones where I'm just kind of I could see it being the case. I'm just not necessarily convinced that it is. And as you've put it before, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
There's too much going on to just encourage higher
everybody
turnout.
to.
Yeah. I mean, everyone should vote, but everyone should probably at least be a little informed. It's another conversation.
Everybody. Would you say that you feel everybody's entitled to their informed opinion?
Yes, unfortunately, being Americans, they're also entitled to their uninformed opinions. So,
Yeah,
Yep.
that is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
That is an issue. We're on number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6, encouraging national campaigns.
Okay,
I think that's.
you don't buy that argument as well.
I think the folks are thinking that way already, and so I think that the Electoral College it does so much to disenfranchise voters. That's such a huge cost. So it encourages a national campaign.
And I think we talked about this at the time because I feel like going to a popular vote would disencourage a national campaign because you're only going to population centers at that point. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Well, stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll revisit that thought.
All right. Number 5 for you.
Number 5 for me was the consistency, matching the direct and state and local elections.
Gotcha.
I like the consistency.
Okay.
But there's arguments against that.
Clear. I went with the pitfalls of the popular vote.
Number 5.
Number 5 is that was the next strongest argument for me. I think my like 5 through 9, maybe 5 through 8 could all kind of be.
You could rejockey those.
Those pretty. That was just. I went with gut level reaction.
Sure.
Yep. Number 4 for me was clear, decisive outcomes. I thought that was a better argument. So we don't, and I think he mentions it in the summary of one of them. That's like we'd have 50 Floridas, like the lawsuits, the potential for fraud. Like I feel like it is more weighty than not.
Yeah, I got it. Number 4. Number 4 for me was. Honestly, like I feel like the matching the direct and state and local elections and calling it undemocratic is very similar. Just because that's the flip side.
Which one is that?
Number 4 I had is undemocratic. It could be more democratic. I think it could be.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had that as the 4th strongest.
Okay. Gotcha.
Out of the 10.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So what is A2 in my parlance?
A2.
The one that I thought was the dumbest. Yes.
The one you thought was the dumbest. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So for number 3 for me, I actually had boost voices in red and blue states.
Yeah.
So against the Electoral College,
I think that
there's a, and I think we actually sort of had this conversation with the winner takes all aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can find some agreement that maybe it should be by district and not by state.
Yeah, and I was going to say that to the end for our little landing point. But I'm glad you feel the same.
There.
I'm glad you feel the same.
Yep. We'll come back to that.
So we're on 3.
3.
Pitfalls of the popular vote.
Okay.
I think that's important.
Okay.
I think
I can see your political science.
Yeah,
the
eyebrows went up.
Coming down hard on that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I do think you can be a representative democracy and a direct democracy, but shy of the pure democracy.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking splitting hairs, right? Yeah. But there are pitfalls. There are pitfalls to the popular vote.
Yeah.
Without question.
I would be curious to see like an analysis of let's just say everything from the 50s onwards of how would it have broken down if it was by congressional district.
Oh,
who would have won?
That maybe that guy's book.
Yeah.
He said he studied that.
He did. Yeah.
Stuff.
Or we'll just Google it later and see.
And we'll Google it.
Yeah. Like the millennials.
Thanks,
we
Google.
are.
Number 2.
I had maintain the American federalism.
Maintain the.
Yeah.
Which was 9 for me.
Yeah.
So that's.
That's
but these are the differences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, based on
what
you said,
I wonder how much of that is coming from Kansas versus coming from Chicago issue.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know I was growing up, there's always kind of well, why do we have to do that? That's not what we think around here.
Right.
And it's but a bunch of other people, other places outvoted us. So it's
Well, and the thing, so Chicago is in Illinois, which is the vast majority of the state is rural, very rural.
Yeah.
And so there was,
but not by population.
Not by population,
Yeah.
but by math. It just, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You still feel. I still felt that, and I went to college in a
Yeah.
cornfield, basically, and there was this. You got a majority with respect to minority, like you were really trying to hit that balance. And I think that maybe that's a little bit of where my thinking came from on that. So on number 2, encouraging turnout was number 2 for me.
Yeah.
I really think.
I would. You want to go with your number 1?
My number 1 was this is what the people want. It seems so simple in a place where 50 plus 1 want it. We do things by 50 plus 1 here.
Do you have enough votes to
in the Electoral College to get that done? I don't know.
In the Electoral College or in a I believe it would require a constitutional amendment to
It's by state.
it
It's already by state.
Yes, but to get rid of the Electoral College. So like if every single state were to change it to we're just doing the popular vote and that's how we do it, then it would be effectively undone, but it would not be actually undone within the Constitution, because the Constitution is what sets up the math of it, and then says however you get your electors is determined by the state, each individual state.
I'll have to go back into. I don't remember exactly what the Constitution says about it, but
to get rid of it constitutionally would require a constitutional amendment. To get rid of it effectively would require enough states signing up on it.
The Constitution is an amendable thing.
It is. It's just really freaking hard. All right. My final one was encourage national campaigns, and I think I've talked about this ad nauseum that Kansas will probably never not vote Republican in my lifetime, but Ohio will be blue or red, and we don't know, and it could get solidly one way or the other. California might switch red. Who knows?
May wonders never cease.
May wonders never cease.
Yeah, but there's some even going back through because I think some of mine would change because I did make my list before we talked, and I definitely boosting the value of the votes. I think I would put that higher. And do you want to retouch our common ground?
So our common ground is I think we both would be okay with changing the Electoral College to be represented by district instead of a winner-take-all.
Not state winner-take-all.
Yeah, exactly. It's by congressional district.
I don't want to state a specific way to do it, but it would not be state.
Something similar.
We might have to figure that out. There's a terrible. We're so bad at districting in the United States. I really don't want to say.
Okay,
by
that's
district.
Fair. By something close to, but maybe not exactly.
Not winner take all by state.
Yeah. Okay. Then we can both get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, there we go. Jeremy Jones.
The Electoral College one. That was a big one.
We had a charged political discussion.
I know.
I feel like we were pretty friendly through all of it.
During the whole time.
Yeah.
Friends before too.
I still feel like we're friends, so I guess we're friends after.
Friends after, with empty glasses.
Empty glasses. That was one of those discussions. I had a tiny bit left.
Me, same.
Yeah, so it counts. Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
Do we have a sign-off?
Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
News stuff. All the tangents. Some politics. Booze.
Some more politics.
Stuff about Kansas. And lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.